That said, it's a pleasure to come talk to you all today. Of course, as many of you know, I was with Survey for 11 years, and I very much still consider Survey to be a home for me. And I'm sorry I'm not there in person. And just like Sarah, I also am missing all the green chilies since I did some grad work there in New Mexico. So hopefully we'll see you all in person next year. But with that said, I would like to take a little bit of time and talk to you about what's going on within SEO and specifically within the Lunar Discovery and Exploration Program, some highlights of recent activities, and some plans for the future. Next slide, please. Just a quick reminder of what SEO is, and it's a lot broader than some people seem to think or are aware of all the different things we have going on. Of course, SEO is primarily tasked with leading the overall science strategy for Moon to Mars, including CLIPS, robotic and human exploration, and to do that, I am now seeing presenter slides. I don't know if that was intended, but that's fine. And we have a number of things that we do to engage across all of the Science Mission Directorate divisions and integrate all of the needs across those divisions into an approved document that we can then take over to our colleagues in ESDMD exploration and get those written into architecture overall. And so with that said, we've got a number of things that we engage with ESDMD as well as the other mission directorates, SOMD, STMD, and we also run the Science with Human Exploration Control Board, which is the governing body within SMD that takes those needs and gets them, translated over, and working with Jake and his colleagues to get them drafted into requirements. We've got a bunch of things going on that are at the agency level with federated board. We've got quad directorate level discussions and manifest selection boards for CLIPS and others. It really is an all-encompassing when it comes to lunar science strategy office. And we also, of course, work on science for human missions to Mars in conjunction with the Mars Exploration Program embedded within Planetary Science Division. Next slide, please. And this is a list of what goes on within LDEP, which is one aspect of SEO overall. Right now, as of this moment, we operate CLIPS, the Commercial Lunar Payload Services. As many of you are aware, within the President's budget request, the budget for CLIPS has been put over underneath ESDMD, and so we are working closely with them to scope out what CLIPS looks like moving forward, as well as sharing some of our lessons learned that will help ESDMD scope out what the new commercial Mars payload services effort looks like. As many of you have probably seen within the President's budget request, a line item was put in there for commercial Mars as well as commercial lunar, and then the Mars exploration program here within SMD has a line item for payload development to go on that CMPS, or COMPASS, as I've been calling it, although that name hasn't quite caught on yet. That said, we of course do science instrumentation and development for robotic missions in addition to crewed missions. We handle a lot of the lunar international collaborations from a science perspective, of course. And then all the great lunar science research and the teams that are stood up as a result of all the stuff that Sarah talked about earlier. Next slide, please. So if you're scoring us at home, this is where we look at, this is how we view we're making progress or incremental progress towards addressing Moon to Mars objectives. And as you all recall, the Moon to Mars objectives were derived directly from the decadals from each of the divisions within SMD. And so when you take a look across the Artemis missions you see over there on the left, and the CLIPS missions you see on the right, and the orbital missions you see in the center, the things in yellow are the Moon to Mars objectives that those particular missions are being focused on. And so when you look at it across the board, you say, wow, there is a ton of stuff going on the moon, both crew and human and orbital, and there's a lot of excitement across the board. Next slide, please. Uh, this is a different way of looking at that same data. And, we're all scientists and we like to look at data in lots of different ways. So this way is Moon to Mars objectives on the left, and then on the right is the actual activity, the payloads in particular, or activities that support each one of those Moon to Mars objectives. And if you hit next slide, please, you can see how we are starting to address some of those. Those in red are associated with those missions that failed or were not fully successful. Those that are in green are ones that were successful. So 19D from Firefly, in particular Blue Ghost Mission 1, we're starting to see some things in green being crossed off. Now that said, again, it's incremental progress with each one of these things. No single investigation is going to fully address a Moon to Mars objective, but in aggregate, when you start summing all of these things together, you might start to see some real progress made towards some of these decadal high priority investigations. And also looking at it in this way can help us take a look at, say, hey, maybe we've had some failures under LPS-3, and that might mean that we need to start shoring that up with future opportunities and the like. And so I'll be talking about PRISM-4 here in a little bit, but this way of looking at the data really kind of helps us understand overall where our science is being successful, what still needs to be completed, et cetera. So next slide, please. This, as of course, I wanted to remind you all that Blue Ghost Mission 1 from Firefly was a short 4 months ago. I mean, just 4 months ago, the mission was just barely ended. And I will say those 4 months seems like a long 4 months. It's been a lot of things going on within those 4 months. But it was a wildly successful mission. And as Sarah was saying, we're going to bring a lunar surface science workshop together to have some discussions on what those early science results from that mission looked like. And next slide, please. I also wanted to share that we've got some upcoming CLIPS deliveries where we actually have hardware being installed on landers. On the left, you see Lucy Knight, which is a Department of Energy and NASA collaboration to do far-side cosmology observations. Kind of first of their kind, and we're really excited about that collaboration. Lucy Knight is there on the vibe table. It passed vibe and is now in TVAC. I think it's still in TVAC, and it's even in the chamber right now, if I recall correctly. So as soon as it gets through environmental testing, it will be delivered to Firefly for flight on Blue Ghost Mission 2 in the middle of next year. And then on the right is the retroreflector array that's going to go on Blue Origin's Blue Moon Mark 1 serial number 1, and that one is expected to go no earlier than October of this year. But again, we've got hardware, it's being developed, it's being completed, and it's being delivered to the vendors, which is some of the metrics of success of the overall CLIPS program. So next slide, please. This is a quick view graph of what we are expecting for CLIPS launches in the upcoming couple of years, 2.5 years or so. And the background image is, of course, of Firefly Blue Ghost Mission 1 sitting on the surface of the moon, which is overall fantastic. I get a shiver every time I see it. But that said, for the missions coming up, expectations are that Blue Origin in October of 25, Astrobotic Griffin Mission 1, which has a large cargo demo on board, is late 2025. Intuitive Machines, which is going to deliver one of our first PRISM payloads, which is Lunar Vertex. That's going in early 2026. Firefly, which has Lucy Knight on it, is going in mid-26. There's also a calibration source, which is going to be on the comm relay satellite. And that calibration source will allow us to calibrate the data that we're observing with Lucy Knight, and that's, again, mid-26. Draper is supposed to fly the Farside Seismic Suite and Litmus, so we're going to, I think, as some of our PIs said it, we're going to geophysics the crap out of the far side of the moon in Schrodinger Basin, so that's exciting. Current expectation for them is Q3 of 2027. Intuitive Machines 4, which will deliver Leia and Prospect, which is an ESA payload, and that's going in 27, and then Firefly in 2028. And that's not all. We have a number of other we're expecting to make announcements on another delivery here within, I would call it imminent, and that is even speaking in headquarters terms. It is, you should see it soon, hopefully, even within the duration of the NESF this week. And then we've got another one planned for selection by the end of this year. All that said, is CLIPS is still still strongly supported by the agency and by the administration, and it is still being used as SMD's primary way to address science priorities across the entire lunar globe. So we're really looking forward to seeing how CLIPS comes off in the next couple of missions. Next slide, please. Also a note that we have a large number of international collaborations on both Artemis and CLIPS. I won't walk through them all, but you can just see from the list on the left, one of the selections from Artemis 3 deployed instruments was the Lunar Dielectric Analyzer from JAXA, and we've got a number of payloads that are associated, either contributed directly to CLIPS and supported by NASA, or have some level of contributions to a selected payload through one of our competitions. And you can see those there. And then, of course, we have the pressurized rover on JAXA, the multi-purpose habitat from OSSI, or the is that's where they're going to come from. The Argonaut lander from ESA. There are LRAs on SLIM and JAXA, neutron spectrometer system on LUPEC, ShadowCam on KPLO, and LETS on Bearsheet. There are so many opportunities. There are so many opportunities out there for not only our international colleagues, but of course for our domestic partners as well. So it really is a global effort as we are returning to the moon together. Next slide, please. A little bit of progress towards South Pole Aiken sample return campaign. This is, of course, the top lunar priority of the Planetary Decadal Survey for Endurance A. We've got a number of pre-formulation activities that are been ongoing in order to set that project up. Once budget allows us to conduct that particular mission. We've established the South Pole Aiken Basin Sample Return and Exploration Science Definition Team, or SPARCS. That is ongoing right now. They're doing wonderful work for us, as well as JPL is doing a number of studies that will ultimately enable that mission in the long run, including rover translation speed, which of course it has to travel pretty quick in order to conduct the mission as envisioned by Endurance A report within the decadal. But then autonomous roving capabilities, integration field testing, mobility, robotic arms, actuators, LiDAR, guidance, navigation, control, all those are absolutely critical subsystems and or operations that we have to understand before we get returned back to the surface with this particular mission. So next slide, please. We're also making progress towards the Lunar Geophysical Network. We have, of course, wonderful demonstrations of the Lunar Magnetotelluric System, LMS, from 19D, Bob Grimm et al., and the Next Gen Laser Retroflector was deployed there as well. Lister did really great work there. FSS and Litmus are on upcoming CLIPS deliveries, CP12, and then LEMS is on Artemis 3 as a deployed instrument, will be deployed by crew. And we've also kicked off a NASA internal study to look at the overall technical and science challenges associated with accomplishing the mission with the CLIPS approach. And that will identify solutions and or major issues or trades associated with executing LGN in that fashion. Next slide, please. A quick Viper update. It's not much of an update. It's more of a continuance of where we were before. At the National Academies, Nikki Fox announced that SMD is exploring a restructured partnership and opportunities, and we'll share more as we can. Oh, go back one slide, please. Thank you. And we just are ensuring that we have the the best technical proposal from the community that also meets with schedule and overall budget that NASA has available to it to conduct Viper and retrieve the data that Viper was originally intended to retrieve. Right now, Viper is being moved to long-term storage and is set to undergo maintenance testing until we can procure a flight for it. Next slide, please. Community update. Sarah talked through some of these things. Artemis 4 deployed instruments. We're hoping to make announcements for that in the next month or so. So stay tuned for that. We're also in review right now for the Prism Salsa Awards. Proposals have already come in for that, and the reviews are ongoing. And then Artemis 3 participant scientists, Prism 4 I'll talk about in the next slide. And just a reminder that there are a lot of engagement opportunities for you to get your science, get your research, get your opinions in front of this group so that we can make the best decisions moving forward. In addition to lunar surface science workshops, we're also standing up the Mars surface science workshops, and so stay tuned for that. I know many of the folks in the lunar community are also part-time Martians as well, so hope you all are able to participate and provide those same opinions and research and knowledge into that community as well. Next slide, please. Prism 4. I know a lot of people are interested in this. We recently just put out the community announcement, I think it was yesterday, talking about Prism 4 and the schedule that we're expecting to conduct that solicitation on. The interesting thing is that we've been listening to you all. Given all the opportunities I've been trying to talk about through this presentation, we're listening to you and understand that there's a large amount of proposal pressure on the community. And so for the Prism 4 solicitation, we will ultimately make two separate selections or awards from that single solicitation. Prism 4A will begin funding in FY26, and Prism 4B will begin funding a year later in FY27. So a single Prism 4 solicitation will take the place of 2 years worth of Prism solicitations, which we've tended to do on a pseudo-annual cadence in the past. Some interesting things about Prism 4 is that it's about 95% similar to Prism 3. We've got a total mass budget of not to exceed 50 kilograms, a max budget per award, so 50 million for Prism 4A and 50 million additional for Prism 4B. A landing location will be chosen by the proposer between 75 degrees north and 90 degrees south. So that just means that we are attempting to keep the North Pole as pristine as possible for future investigations, but the South Pole is open and fair game for proposers to propose to, and of course, near or far side is also open. We expect landing dates to be in the range of 2030 to 2031 for these two Prism awards, and we have a number of services that we're expecting to allow for proposers to ask for from the CLPS vendors, including mobility, vendor-provided survive the night, which will have a reduced overall total mass budget just due to the number of resources that are required on the lander in order to survive the night, and then also sample acquisition services. Hopefully you all are as excited about that as I am. Next slide, please.
Brad, we need you to speed it up, please.
Yep, this is my last slide, last-ish slide. And so we also recently talked about the lunar terrain vehicle instruments and made awards for those. We made 3 awards: the Artemis Infrared Reflectance and Emission Spectrometer, ARES, and then Lunar Maps, the Microwave Active Passive Spectrometer. Those will both be going on the mast and the chassis for the lunar terrain vehicle. We made a 3rd selection of USIS that will be an orbital flight at some point in the future as competed through CLPS. So we're excited about that and all the wonderful science that's going to come as a result. I go to the next slide, and I know that I just got the side-eye hook from Christina, but next slide, please. One more. Great. I'm going to take a little bit of headquarters prerogative and just take a quick moment to give a quick tribute to our friend and leader Gregory K. Schmidt, also known as Gregorius Maximus. He also is known by Jack Schmidt as quote, that guy that can't spell his own name properly, unquote. As many of you know, I worked with Survey, as I think I even mentioned at the beginning. I worked with Survey, and Greg hired me into NLSI, as it was known back at the time, Lunar Science Institute, and Survey back in 2008. So I've known him for about 17 years, and I worked for him for about 11 years. So I'd just like to take this opportunity to share some perspectives about Greg that maybe some of you may know. And the first thing is to note about this first picture. When you spy on Greg, you just peek your head around the corner. He's in his office. He's texting, doing emails. He always has a smile on his face, and I will tell you that that is very indicative of his personality and how he treats others. You know, he has always been about people first. Next slide, please. He always takes care of people first. He is wonderful at building relationships, and he's always had that mantra of, you take care of the people, the rest will follow and work itself out. And so I will say that Survey wouldn't be what it is today without the hard work of Greg since 2000. I think it started off in 2007, the year before I got there, and all the way through till today. I really appreciate all that he's done, and for me and for the community. And it's and all that hard work really must have made him very tired. Next slide, please. So these are some wonderfully candid pictures of Greg Schmidt, and like I said, a lot of hard work, really tiring work. Next slide, please. Really, really very tiring. But that said, he has also, next slide, please, worked tirelessly to clean up all of our messes, which have been numerous. And next slide, please. We've really worked him as hard as a rented mule overall, or in this case, as a rented zebra. And next slide, please. But in the end, it really has, through it all, we've made some beautiful music together. And so I just wanted to say Godspeed, Greg, on your next adventures. So with that, thank you very much.
Brad, thank you. I haven't seen those pictures in a long time. That is just fantastic. And by the way, Brad also has another name. I never call him anything but Bradicus. So thank you very much for that. That means a lot. I really appreciate it.